Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 678 on Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2026. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear us talk about fantasy technology twice. In new car news, you will find out that there are more options towards the lower end of the market. And in points of interest, you'll be reminded of how much cars can actually bring people together. But first, we have some follow-up. And I did mention fantasy technology. I'm also going to mention We Told You So. And this is thanks to the NTSB has now reported back on 2 accidents involving Ford BLUECRUISE Level 2 Plus, I think they tried to claim it was, technology where it was automated driving where the driver is technically allowed to remove their hands from the steering wheel as long as their eyes are perceived to be looking down the road towards anything happening so that they could take over at a moment's notice of something potentially going wrong. Unfortunately, there was 2 accidents not long after the system became live, in America this is, and people were killed as a result of it. The findings have come out and they said, and I'm going to quote here from a quote on the CNN article that it will be linked in the show notes, saying several gaps in safety and oversight of partial autonomous systems were part of the reason why the accidents and the deaths happened. There is a lot of talk about how safety standards need to be improved. There is also mention in here of stuff that isn't actually surprising once you know more about the US's attitude from a legislative point of view to safety.
I thought you were going to say from a driving point of view safety, and that's a completely different, or paying attention, and that's a completely different thing.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there yet.
And that's like shooting fish in a barrel.
However, there are quotes from Ford which are frankly quite laughable, where they say that the automaker remains committed to safety, and also that the NTSB investigation found no quality defects or equipment failures in BLUECRUISE.
And if I may for a second, that does sound like there's a bit of a flaw with BLUECRUISE, as in fundamental flaw.
There is a fundamental, completely core problem with it, which long-time listeners will have heard us mention many times, that there has been tons of research on how human beings cannot sit and observe automated systems with any reliability or with any accuracy, even if it's involving their own safety. I'm going to link to something in the show notes additional to the CNN article, because a friend of the show, Ken Tyndall, has been reposting this just as a reminder. It is titled, and this is research that is titled, The Breakdown of Vigilance During Prolonged Visual Search. This explains this very phenomenon, this exact issue of how you can't do it. And it was first published in, I hope you're sitting down, April 1948.
Yes, the thing was really, I said the fundamental flaw with the system there, including the user, because really the flaw is with the user. We just can't do it.
But the flaw is the idea that it would work.
Yeah, totally. It's still part of the flaw in the system.
I cannot understand how this is allowed on the roads. This is also allowed in the UK roads, by the way, certain roads, because it is restricted to certain roads. But the idea that this is allowed at all as a system and thought of as safe, it just boggles my mind. I don't know how much more evidence people need.
BLUECRUISE does operate in the UK because it is geo-fenced, unlike Tesla's system. Shall we move on to some new news?
Yeah, we'll stay angry though.
Yeah, we're trying to get the anger out of the way at the start here, everyone.
Yes, we are.
Next one, it's a story. The story we've included from the link in the show notes is from The Canary. It's written in a way, this story.
Yes.
But the core message is just as appalling, whether it's written in a tongue-in-cheek way or not. But it's that the DWP, the Department for Work and Pensions, has cuts to MOTABILITY, leave them scrambling for savings through a discriminatory black box scheme. And other stuff as well. Frankly, the DWP decided to go off and show this sort of performative nastiness, which you would think was, well, basically they were trying to copy some of the right-wing parties in the UK and gain votes from some of those nasty people over there.
Well, when we remember, we first covered how MOTABILITY was going to remove premium vehicles from the system.
Yeah.
which people paid extra for themselves out of their own pocket, by the way. This was not funded by anyone, by the government, by our tax money, nothing like that. It was all based on one right-wing think tank that decided that disabled people should be attacked and they should be belittled and they should be punched down on.
People deciding how to use the benefit that they get, and if they wanted to add to it or in a position to add to it, then they absolutely could, and they could have a BMW instead of a Seat, I don't know, or whatever, an Audi instead of a Seat. Entirely up to them, cost the same amount, if not actually less, to Motability. In addition to that, and that VAT and insurance premium tax will now be added to the new car leases to raise them, while Motability are trying to keep it down.
Unbelievable. Then
it's going to cost so much more for everybody, and it's just pathetic. Those changes, by the way, will mean that there's a price rise for about £1,100 per driver per year, I think it is, on there. And the other thing is that anyone who's under 30 and in the Motability scheme will have to have a black box fitted to their cars up until they're 30. So if you pass your test at 17, or even if you pass your test at 17, even if you've been driving for 10 years, you're still going to have a black box insurance. And we all know how, I can't use the word,
useless,
poor. The other word I was going to put in front of it began with P as well. But we all know how poor the black boxes are at actually doing anything other than finding a way to charge you more money, or say that you're driving dangerously, or all of these things. It's in a way that non-disabled drivers don't have to do that.
No,
it's just ridiculous.
I know you feel this as well, and I know anyone listening to this show will be feeling the same as us, because we've not hidden how we sit on this issue. The idea that as a society we need to victimize and make people who are already struggling to try and have as normal a life as possible, and hit them harder and make their life even more difficult, how we've decided as a society that is acceptable and how we should do things. I cannot fathom, I cannot understand how anyone who is sentient thinks that is a way to go. I don't get it. I just cannot understand it.
It's performative nastiness. It's just not good.
Why be so horrible? Why be so nasty? Why be so vindictive? It just disgusts me.
Yeah, absolutely the same. Absolutely the same. Should we move on to something less contentious, and that's an MOT?
Yes. It's a bit of a palate cleanser from our anger.
When changes to the MOT are light relief, it's a little worrying.
Quite. This is more of a reminder, because we have discussed this last year, that there was talk about the changes to the MOT. But in 2026, the rules are changing, and they're going to mostly hit the garages themselves who are doing the testing. But there are some things that you do need to be aware of as a car owner. The key MOT changes at a glance, which is the paragraph title from the MotorCheck article that will be linked in the show notes, is just to give you an idea of what's happening. There's stronger lifting equipment required for new MOT bays, stricter bans for fraudulent testers, vehicle photography to prevent ghost MOTs. Now, that's the one that we did talk about last year.
Yes, it was.
Additional high-voltage safety checks for EVs and hybrids, updated inspection guidance for seatbelts and quadricycles, and they have managed to, or all of us have managed to keep that the first MOT timing at 3 years still happens, because the government was really trying to push that out a year. And everyone who had half a brain went, that's a very bad idea. Please don't do that.
Yeah, I'd rather it was moved the other way. I'd rather it was after 2 years than after 4 years, to be honest, when you see the state of some of the fleet cars out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is exactly it. Now, what needs to be made clear with this is those changes have been made. Extra requirements are being made of the garages, but the price is still being capped by the government. So this is putting more pressure on the garages to do more for less, basically. Do click the link in the show notes, because your car may come up in this. And there's interesting bit, particularly if you've got a child seat, what an MOT tester can and cannot do, that sort of thing.
There's one other one that's I don't know. It's close to my heart, because I've had to fight with MOT testers over this in the past, but one of them is clearer brake testing guidance for four-wheel drive vehicles. And hopefully that includes vehicles with tricky diffs as well. And if you've got a four-wheel drive with tricky diffs and the MOT tester doesn't listen to you and then he does the brake test anyway, and what happens is 2 tons of vehicle hot out of the flipping brake testing machine, and he goes, "No, I didn't know that." It's like, well, you listen, shouldn't you? I know you think you know everything, but when it's an odd import, maybe listen to the owner occasionally.
No, don't need to do that. Well.
So Vercross jumps 2 feet out of the brake testing machine. Oh, does it have a limited slip diff? It's like, you told me you knew all about it.
Anyway, moving on, Alan, talking of four-wheel drive vehicles that are not from the UK.
We're all aware that Volkswagen is bringing back the Scout brand in the US. Somehow it inherited the Scout brand. I'm not really sure how, from what used to be International, as in International Harvester. So tractors and stuff they also made.
Did they not buy it because of Dieselgate? And this was the way that Volkswagen was going to come back to the US?
I think so, yes. It was the sneaky way they were going to come back to the US.
Yeah. That they still haven't come back to the US with.
Exactly. And it was being sold off by whoever ended up owning International at the minute, who's McCormick, I think. This has been an ongoing thing. They were targeting 2027 with a range of pickup trucks and SUVs, specifically fully electric pickup trucks and SUVs. So maybe 2027. They're now moving the start of production back to summer 2028. And what it'll do is it will offer range extenders, not fully electric vehicles. The other thing that's not covered in this Electrive article, really, or at least I haven't noticed it when I was reading through it, was that the other challenge I've had is that Volkswagen were hoping to bypass their existing dealership model and go straight for a direct-to-customer model in the style of Tesla or some of these others. Lucid, we're going to talk about in a minute, does the same. And they were going to do that directly. And the biggest problem in the whole of the US automotive landscape, the dealers are making a big fuss about it. Do remember, by the way, that it's the dealers and their support of the current US president that's resulted in all of these everything to deter manufacturers from making EVs. Because the dealers don't see how they can make the same money over time from EVs as opposed to internal combustion vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to change what they do and all these things. And they are, as Andrew so neatly put it earlier on, they are the archetypal American version of a gammon. Florid complexion and everything.
Change is bad.
Absolutely change is bad. Absolutely that. Anything that's new and interesting, right down to the fact that it's very difficult to buy coloured vehicles in the US, is generally down to dealer network, not down to manufacturers, just because of the stranglehold they have over there politically and on outlook.
Mm.
Lots of trouble with Scout right at the minute for Volkswagen. Yay.
Well, add on top of that, the software-wise, they are waiting.
Let's not even mention Cariad, because that's just
No.
Volkswagen.
It's not Cariad, it's Rivian.
Oh, of course, so it is.
It's Rivian who want effectively nothing to do with doing range extenders. They're all about the electric.
Of course they are.
There was reports the back end of last year already about how there was conflicts between VW and Rivian over software and changes and all the rest of it and the capabilities. This could be another brand that disappears because a subcontracted part doesn't happen, because Rivian's burning through money. And how much money has Volkswagen got left to support them with, considering Volkswagen is shedding anything between 50 and 80,000 jobs, depending on whether the 30 or the 50,000 are the total or not?
Yeah.
The money is running out for these companies.
But it's Volkswagen who are changing the requirements here. Fingers crossed anyway, because I think it would be an interesting addition to the landscape.
I like the idea of Scout.
I love the idea of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, they're going to be too big for international sales. If you build for North America, you build on a North American, just for North America, you build on a North American scale. You can't sell it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Whereas if you build on an international scale, you can still sell in America.
Well, yeah, look at BMWs, Audis, Mercs.
And even BMW with the X7. It's big over here, but they can still sell it in Europe.
Oh, sorry, Hyundai as well, and Kia because of the EV9s and all that.
It's just at the edge of it, but it's still saleable globally.
Yeah.
Whereas if you build solely for America, then you can't leverage those economies of scale.
No. Well, talking of the US, here's a brand that I am and continue to be very skeptical about, and Alan is much more bullish or positive than I am, and this is Lucid. Now, we're bringing this up because Lucid are saying they're going to launch in the UK next year with a BMW iX3 rival. They are going to bring the Cosmos premium SUV. And this is going up against, like I said, the iX3, but also the Volvo EX60.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sort of size we are looking at. It's the mid to large SUV, and it's not the big giant ones. And they haven't unveiled the vehicle yet. That's happening later this year, but it has been designed from the ground up to be right-hand drive this time as well. Whereas the previous two models, which was the Air
and the Gravity,
they thought about right-hand drive, but that was too much for them at the time as a startup.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget, they are the company that is basically being propped up by the Saudi sovereign wealth fund.
So much so that their new plant for building these is just on the outskirts of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Let's hope there's no problem with Red Sea shipping routes.
Yes.
At least it's on the Red Sea coast, not the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
Eastern Seaboard would be really stuffed.
We have to add the complication, shall we say, of the geopolitical situation right now. We don't know very many details about it. There is just this one sort of dreamt-up image from Autocar that has taken elements from previous vehicles and sort of given us this is what we expect. We won't know till later in the year, but I find it interesting that Lucid is looking to come to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, they charge a lot of money for their cars.
Yes.
And as we have seen in the UK, that has been a struggle for the established car makers.
Yeah, mostly, I mean, the Air and it's the Air. I've not seen a Gravity because it was launched since I left the US. But there was a mall relatively near me on the other side of Boston that had a big Lucid service area adjacent to it. So they regularly displayed their cars in the mall.
Mm.
And you could have a good close look at it, a sit-in and a poke. So obviously I had a good close look at it, a sit-in and a poke. And certainly the quality that you see and can poke was up there. It really was. It was up there in sort of, it felt like it was up there in BMW and Mercedes kind of areas. I mean, the Air's a big, big car. It's very wide, but it is very much 7 Series S-Class type size and felt that level of quality. I don't think...
That's more reassuring to hear because up to now, obviously all we get is the US reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And they are obviously coming from a US-centric viewpoint. And let's not forget that, because the problem I always have with any of these things is we were told that Tesla was a luxury car maker.
Yeah. In the early days of the S, Tesla did stuff right. When it was still all ex-Audi guys running the Tesla production before somebody decided to fiddle too much. And then after that first facelift where it lost the grille. If you get a Tesla, you want one with the black blob on the front because those are the better built ones. They're the ones that you see on fleets doing 200, 300,000 miles.
Mm.
A friend who had one like that got one that was post-facelift and declared that it was not the same car as the one before at all, and it didn't hang around for very long before being replaced by a Porsche Cayenne plug-in hybrid, which he then hated because he had to actually go put petrol in.
I remember that story, yes.
The Air was a really nice car, and all the reviews I see it from US journalists whom I trust say, yeah, this is really nice, especially ones who drive quite a lot of luxury cars and go, I really like this. I would have this over 7 Series, these kinds of things. It just needs to actually sell them, but they're a premium product, and I just don't think they've been selling in the volumes that they expected them to at the prices.
No, but I think everybody's misjudged that globally.
I really do, and yeah. I mean, look at even Mercedes with the EQS and stuff, it really stuffed that one up.
Yes, let's not talk about Germans, the EVs.
Yes, best not to.
Right, what else we shouldn't talk about?
What about the rest of Europe and internal combustion engines? Oh, yeah. Stellantis has recalled 44,000 cars in the UK built between 2023 and 2026 due to a risk of fire. I mean, it's only 44,000 in the UK, but it's 700,000 globally. And it's all about the 1.2 litre mild hybrid powertrain that's used in Alfa, Citroën, DS, Fiat, Jeep, Lancia, Opel, Vauxhall, and Peugeot. There is, according to the recall notices published on the UK government websites about these things, it's all about contact between the engine's GPF, so the gasoline particulate filter pipe, and the pole protection cap for the starter generator. That's right. The thing containing the inflammable liquid or potentially gas and the thing that could make sparks are a little close to each other.
Oh, slow hand clap for the engineers.
Contact between them can cause water to enter the engine bay, potentially resulting in overheating or a fire. What's going to happen is, in the recall, the pull protection cap for the starter generator will be replaced. The distance between the GPF pipe and the cap will be checked. The pipe will then be repositioned or replaced as necessary. I bet that means it will be tugged around a bit.
You just imagine some bloke on a Friday afternoon just giving it a good yank. Right, that's out the way.
I could just say it's like, no, it's not holding back. I can't bother change it. Let's just put a zip tie and hold it away from it.
I'll stretch it out and I'll put the zip tie on quick. By the way, we are joking. That is not how Stellantis will fix this.
I'm sure that they will do a better job than that.
I think we're all right legally now.
I think so. We were joking, everyone. The numbers affected, there are so many different models that Autocar on their story have published a table as opposed to just a list. But yes, if you own a Citroën C3, a Citroën C3 Aircross, a Citroën C4, a Citroën C4X, a DS3 Crossback, a Peugeot 208, a Peugeot 2008, a Vauxhall Corsa, a Vauxhall Frontera, or a Vauxhall Mocha from between 2023 and 2026, do please get in touch with your dealership if they haven't got in touch with you already, particularly if it's you bought your car used.
Yes. 1.2 mild hybrid.
Yeah.
Check up.
Yeah, I mean, there's 13,345 Peugeot 208s in the country that should be covered by.
Wow. Right, Alan, I think that brings us to Not Guilt Minute this week.
It is. It's not Guilt Minute this week, and it's kind of throwing me a little bit.
Yes, that's our fault, though.
We have a plan. We have this idea.
That's better, an idea, not a plan.
No, it is a plan, because we've actually got a date and stuff. We want to do a Q&A live stream. And we want to do it on Thursday, the 23rd of April at 8 p.m. British summertime, or 2000 BST.
Yep.
We're looking for your questions so that we can provide the answers, or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's quite a important part of a Q&A session, is to have the queue.
The queues, yes. I don't want us to be having to make up the queues, please, because we're now promising to do this publicly.
Yeah.
So we have to have some queues, and we'd rather have your queues than the queues that we think you want.
Yes.
Because so far, pretty much every edition of Motoring Podcast has been pushing. We've had our ideas. We know we've decided what we want to talk about and to tell you about. This is your chance to turn it around and tell us what you want us to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we shall do that.
That is motoring related.
That is motoring related. Yeah, I mean,
there's a few caveats. By the
yeah,
way.
there are a couple of caveats around this. So yes, it really should be a motoring question. Okay, that's like the first caveat.
Or even we'll stretch it to automotive.
Yeah, automotive question, anything to do with that. Then go for it. I don't know if we threw some suggestions around earlier on. It's what kind of automotive stuff are we listening to or watching at the moment? What vehicles interest us, what don't.
Could be questions from our, about us and this show as well.
Yeah, automotive questions.
But it could be about the because we didn't do we've done 10 years. We're very well known for missing big, monumental
it's a key skill at
numbers. Almost famous for it now.
Yeah, that's the plan. Thursday, 23rd of April, 8 p.m. BST, we're looking for your questions. The best way to give us these questions is via our website. Go to motoringpodcast.com.
Yeah, well, there will be a link to the contact page in the show notes. There'll be a little bit of wording for it.
I'll ask you a favour, though, people at home. Could you put QA at the start of the subject line? My collective Motoring Podcast inboxes of which one is from there, are getting filled up with an awful lot of spam right at the minute. So if I can see that there's QA at the start, that will make my life much, much easier when it comes to finding them. And one thing we don't need, by the way, I don't want questions asking if we need people to write articles for us. I don't need questions about, do we need help with accounting or payroll? And I don't need questions about, what's the other one that comes in all the time?
Editing.
Yeah, editing ones as well. Yeah, or any sort of search optimization, SEO type stuff. We don't need that. I get enough of those every week to make up for it, which is why I miss vital emails from PR people and other journalists. So yeah, if you could put QA at the start of the subject line for that, that'd be brilliant. We will be recording that on Thursday, the 23rd of April at 8 p.m. We'll remind you about it before then. If you subscribe to us on YouTube, of course, if we've got a live stream coming up, you will see that in your subscriptions. And of course, don't forget to ding the little bell on YouTube so that you get notified of it. I'm really sorry, but I had to say that for once.
Yep. It's over to you now. We are in your hands.
Patrons, you know all the usual spiel. I read it. Goodness knows how many hundreds of times I've read it now. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us.
Mm-hmm.
Sending in questions like this would be another great way to support us.
Yes. Okay, new car news, and I am going to take us on to the Kia EV2. They have confirmed now the prices for their smallest EV in the range, and they are going to start from £24,245 with the first edition.
It's actually quite complex. I don't know if it's... Sorry, whoever wrote this. Yeah, it's John Redford. This Motor and Research article, I don't know if it's this or if it's my brain that's making it quite hard to work out where the range starts and where the prices start and where it then goes and battery sizes and stuff.
So there's going to be a first edition, which is going to have a 42 kilowatt hour battery pack. And that is going to be the, as John points out, as per its name, the first variant sold in the UK. And that is going to offer a range of 198 miles. However, after that, there is going to be they're going to fit them with 61 kilowatt hour batteries.
The challenge here, I think, actually is that what they originally going to launch with is the little battery version, but with quite a high spec.
Yes.
And then after that, the lower spec models can be had with the little battery, as well as the whole range coming with the big battery, because the little battery has really not very good under 200-mile range. The bigger battery, the 61 kilowatt hour, will deliver 200 quite a lot.
81 miles, 281 miles, which we were discussing beforehand, and I am becoming increasingly more militant on this. I feel under 200, if you are around 25 grand or more, 200-mile range, I don't feel that's enough.
Yes. You don't feel it's enough range.
I do not feel that's enough for the consumer, because you can go buy an ICE that will do a lot more for the same price.
Well, you can go buy an ICE that does far fewer for the same price. That's me, but that's just me.
Okay, it might cost you something. But again, this is also in that whole discussion is as long as you can charge at home, blah, 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 all the caveats that have to get involved from both ends. However, the 281 miles, I like that a lot. I think that's great value. And there will be a link in the show notes, because over the Christmas period, we had a special edition talking about the reveal of the concept car, and talking to the designers about the EV2, which was really interesting. And thank you so much for the positive feedback we've had so far on that.
Yes.
It's always great to see, because we added a live interview into that, which was great to see. It was so positively received. But it's interesting to see how Kia are going with this smaller vehicle. I mean, I think it looks great, even in production, guys. It's
related to the Hyundai Insta, isn't it? It must be. Because they're smart enough to do that, aren't they?
It has to be.
Yeah.
But I think that the technical specifications outside of that also are sensible. It's like the 0 to 62 times. You've heard us moan about them being too short. This is not that. That also means that you can have a longer range if you are not focused on getting such a car to 62 in 3 seconds. You can then eke out the range and all this sort of other stuff, and it looks practical. Do click the Motoring Research link, article link in the show notes, because you get to see more about this. It does go up to quite a chunky price, considering the size of $32,995. That's the top of the range.
You're at a little luxury car by that point. This is Fiesta size, roughly, but squarer. And ventilated front seats, power tailgates, customizable ambient lighting, digital keys, all these kind of things, all sorts of funky stuff, whether advisable or otherwise. And it's cool. And if you live in a town, city, then you can go for that. Or if you want your luxuries, but in a small electric flavor, then do it. It's giving you the option.
Just to add, it is going to be eligible for the electric car grant. They've also got what they're calling a reservation saving, which is $3,750 on top of that. So there's an awful lot of money you can get off if you go in for new.
I mean, we've given you a guidance of price, but then, of course, speak to your dealer to see what the deals are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we go to the opposite end of the small electric car spectrum and skip over very quickly? So if you like the Volkswagen ID3, right, but you don't want to splash out for a Volkswagen version, the proper German version, what you want is the Temu Chinese knockoff, then never fear, because Leapmotor are bringing out the A05, which is a Volkswagen ID3 rival, which is like somebody has stood back, squinted at the ID3 and taken all of the blandest parts to form a vehicle which is quite a large body and very small wheels. And yeah, it's again going to start at around £25,000 when it arrives in the UK later this year. That is about all the nice things I have to say about it. I mean, really, if you don't want to spend £25,000 on something that is decent quality and good looking, you could have this instead.
We don't know what the technical specifications are. We have to make that clear. That has not been released yet. I mean, they're talking about it's supposed to go up against the Cupra Born, the Renault Megane, and the MG4 EV. Well, for me, I'd just have the Cupra Born.
So it is bigger, but yes, I would have the Cupra Born now.
Cupra Born's the best looking, much better looking than the ID3.
The Megane is hardly ugly. It's quite...
No, but it's an SUV now as well. I like the idea of Leapmotor, and I like the idea that they have paired it with the Vauxhall garages, because it is an easy alternative and showing people that, but this is only electric. But I wish they would get a designer.
I know. I wish they'd do something to just...
The cars are so bad looking. I mean, they're so poor.
And there's no family resemblance either. It's the whole design... I'm going to say... I don't want to say designed. I have a product design degree. They're just...
No, but Hyundai
styled in isolation
have not looked the same. Each model is different.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
You can execute that well. This is just... It just feels like it's lazy. Minimum viable... Or not even design. Minimum viable car.
It's like, goodness gracious me. It's like, I want the blandest car on the menu. There you know
what we were saying? We had as a lunchtime read about car as an appliance.
Mm-hmm.
That is the epitome of it.
This is it. This might as well have it does have a name that's a lot like a video recorder model.
And I wish it wasn't. Because, like I said, I like the idea. But Dacia have shown you can go to target a sector of the market which is not got the money, but you can still give them a good-looking vehicle, something that looks like it's been designed, looks like there's been some thought put behind it.
I should explain the Temu knockoff version, that line, not entirely mine. I saw someone this week describing the various Jaiku models as Temu Range Rover, and that tickled me, and so that I'm sorry, I cribbed the joke. Yes, I can't remember who it was. I think it was JD Burgess. I can't remember exactly who it was. I'm sorry. We made that joke on social media, but it tickled me and it's stuck with me all week every time I've seen the Jaiku.
Right. This is a bit of a emotional moment, I have to say.
This is a tough one for Andrew. I'm less fussed, other than the fact that it still looks much fresher and better than any Leapmotor that's on sale here.
Absolutely. So this is old cars dead news, and Seat and Cupra are pulling the Ateca from the UK market after a decade. This was my first ever car launch for the Motoring Podcast, was to go and drive the Seat Ateca, and I quite liked the car. I liked the company that I was with.
Well, I remember who you were with. Yeah.
However, I'm not surprised it's going.
Well, not after 10 years.
Really. Yeah, not after 10 years, but we feel old now. Cars are now being removed that we were at launches.
I've had that one, mate. I've been through that a little while ago, but yeah. Especially if you're quite a long time on sale.
Yeah, but there we go. See it having to remove some internal combustion engine vehicles. There's talk about it coming back at some point, but they've got Cupra have got the Formentor and the dreadful Terramar. That looks so bad. Good God. Awful thing.
I sort of notice them, but don't. They're generally being driven incredibly aggressively. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes.
Let's move on to points of interest. And because everything is guddled up this week because you took the first story after Guild Minute, which isn't how it normally works, then Lunchtime Read falls to me, and that's quite good, really, because it involves Isuzus. This is a story from Haggerty. It's by John Volker. I hope I've pronounced your name right. I'm so sorry if I didn't. And it's called The Isuzus Just Get Us There. Their Owners Keep Us Coming Back. And it's all about a road trip that is taken annually,
yeah,
by Isuzu car owners in the US, generally owning Impulses, which were never sold here. It's all to do with the fact that at the time, International Motors could only have one successful brand. And in 1991, that was Subaru. So the only Isuzus that we got were very utility ones and SUVs. It's true. It's true.
Maybe we'll find out for sure later in the year.
Yes, well, maybe. So yeah, this is really cool. I mean, the Isuzu Impulse is an interesting car anyway, but it's a great story to read through, driving from Concord in New Hampshire, up in the Northeast, down to Tennessee to drive Tail of the Dragon. I sort of ended up going, because of places I wanted to go instead, when I did my road trip that sort of came up that way, I missed out Tail of the Dragon. And to be honest, people said, oh, you should go to it. And it was like, I have a Lexus GX. This is not a car.
I was going to say, I think it was a wise decision to avoid.
This is not a car for 423 wiggly corners. As well as that, I'd been on other roads that everybody said, this is an amazing Cancamungus Highway in New Hampshire. Everyone said, this is amazing, you should go on it. And I was just like, well, it's a road with a couple of corners. It's not exactly Scotland, is it?
I was going to say, also, on top of that, to say once again, it's not like you're hard done by in your homeland.
No,
roads
exactly.
It'd be like someone saying to me, oh, yeah, come on this road here. I did grow up driving in North Wales.
Yeah, you grew up driving in North Wales. I grew up driving in Perthshire. Between the two of us, we're all right when it comes to wiggly roads, thanks. But great story about camaraderie, about just enjoying it with friends. It's more about that than it is about driving Tail of the Dragon or any other snake or any of these things. Really good. Have a read of it. It's just nice. It's the whole car as way to meet people, make friends, hang out, chill out, and just generally keep yourself sane in these difficult times.
Furthering on other recommendations we've made for lunchtime reads, I feel this is along those lines of maybe this will inspire you to do something with mates.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just go for a drive on a Sunday afternoon with some mates or meet up one evening or whatever it is. Now that the days are becoming longer and we have some light and maybe even, dare I say it, sunshine occasionally.
I see that. It was lovely here today after the snow.
Whilst everything else, and he waves once again at the universe, looks so grim and horrible, little things like this can help keep us going, can help give us some positivity and something to aim for, where we stop doom scrolling, we stop just thinking existential dread. I'm talking about myself here, as much as anything. And I just love the idea of this, that they're just so now seemingly pig-headed. We're going to do this every year now because this is what we do every year. And I just love that idea of having that core bunch of friends that you don't really need to speak to the rest of the year, but you know you're going to meet up there and you're going to have a great time. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, Rusterville is not far from now.
Rusterville is the weekend after next. Yes, weekend after next. I'm not going to be able to make it. Sorry, Sean. I will actually text you and tell you that.
I might have to look if there's still tickets and whether I can.
Well, I've got one going free.
Oh, that might be convenient. Let me think on that one.
Okay, that's good. I'd rather it win some. Alrighty, list of the week then, Andrew.
Yes, list of the week. And we are trying to move away from only wedges.
Oh.
I can't say that.
I thought that was your. I thought that was your new. That was your new website. It's a new way of gaining funds for the Motoring Podcast. Only wedges.
Yes. Classic and sports cars for the list of the week, and this is 20 Alfa Romeo cars never made. Alan,
number 15.
Oh, good God! I've got to go a long way.
Yeah. Oh, right. I thought that was because I'd chosen the same one as you.
No.
Unlike you, I look through them and go, oh, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. And then I get to, quite frankly, the Toyota Space Wagon. The 1976 Alfa Romeo New York Taxi. That's right. I went with, I think it was Italian. So Giorgetto Giugiaro. So there we go. That's an easy road to my heart with that. I love the Alfa Romeo New York Taxi. I have done for a long, long time. And the idea was that this was going to replace the checker cab at that point and other cars with something that is far more practical, far easier for people to get in and out of, and an equivalent to the London taxi, but for the US. It's a monospace, one-box design, slidey rear doors, because slidey rear doors are cool. Space inside for wheelchair users. Space inside for wheelchair users for 3 cross-back bench seating, luggage space in the front beside the driver, cab forward seating, all of these things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then really go to click the link. It's very cool. It was an MPV before MPVs. And just, it's the right shape for a taxi. It is right for a taxi. Doesn't matter if it's Alfa Romeo or not. It is how taxis should be.
Mm-hmm. Hubnut would love the wiper action as well. Or wipers.
Yes. There's a fine piece of very strange parky on that for the wipers on that. That's great. Yep. But really cool. Obviously, nothing ever came of it. It was just a concept based on an Alfa F12 van. But I think it was inspirational to many other things that people probably don't recognize.
I like that. I like the thought that has gone behind that as well. We always like clever design. We've mentioned that car previously several times in particularly in List of the Week, and it's always a winner.
Well, what about you then? Given us 20, there's loads.
I would ask the ladies and gentlemen to scroll back to number 4 in their slide pack, to the 1960 Alfa Romeo 2000 Praho Coupe 102. I just think it looks gorgeous, and I got,
this was an option.
I said to you, there was probably, out of the 20, there was probably 15 or 16 I could have picked. But this, I just love the shape of this. I love the chrome, the amazing license plate, how small it is and fits into the indent in the bumper right below the Alfa grille, the twin headlights. And the curves on it, and how much glass it's got as well, and how happy the driver looks that's being photographed as they go around this. It's a 2-door, 4-seater coupe that was based off the 2000 chassis. Had a 1975cc 4-cylinder engine. I like that a lot. I like the idea of that. It's a shame it never came to be.
Yeah, well, there was one.
Yeah.
It'll be pocket change. Nobody likes classic, very rare Alfa Romeo.
No, it'd be fine.
Fine. Yeah. No, it's
no
very
issues.
cool. It's lovely. It's very much of its time. Very much into the sort of, I don't know, the front's not pretty, but the rest of it probably is. If it's under that pretty car type setup. Lovely. Last but not least then, and finally. Now, there were complaints the other week, specifically from us, about the age of the Citroën Saxo. And the Citroën Saxo is now 30 years old, and that makes us all feel very old because we remember when it was launched.
Well, we just refused to believe that was true.
You're older than I am, so that's fine. This hurts you more than it hurts me.
Yes.
Nathan Chadwick has written a piece for Haggerty again, and it is the Renault 21 at 40. Renault 21 was really quite a game changer for Renault at that time. It signified Renault moving into maybe I was going to say better cars. That's not very fair, is it? But it was very much more. It was actually a more mainstream car style than perhaps some of their previous models had been in this sort of segment. And yeah, obviously, I mean, it's Sierra Cavalier 405 size. Was available in a saloon and an estate. Estate was particularly popular among the Scottish prep school set, with because you could have it. Well, you see, it was one of those cars that replaced the Citroen CX. Had to replace the Citroen CX because you could have it as a 7-seater. And, similarly, it was there. It was like if you couldn't quite afford it, you didn't really want a Peugeot 505, or you wanted something newer than a 505. And of course, the 405 wasn't available with 7 seats. Then the Renault 21 Savannah, as it was called in the UK, Nevada, in France, and the rest of Europe, was your option. And I know at least one family that replaced a 505 with a Renault 21. But later on in life, it came with a hatchback as well. And of course, its most notable thing was the fact you could have it in 4 different wheelbases. Because the transverse and the longitudinal engine...
Why not?
Because why not? Transverse and the longitudinal engines that sat to the wheel of the front wheels in a slightly different space in the wheel arch. And then, of course, you had sort of saloon hatch, and you had the estate wheelbases. So 2 engine variants by 2 body models.
You imagine someone suggesting that to a modern car company now, particularly Renault, who lifted the dashboard from the 5 and stuck it in the 4.
Yeah.
EV, and going, you know what? How about we have 4 different chassis that we're going to build this on?
The mounting points will be slightly different, but it's more pieces. But
economies of scale.
It's just completely in the bin.
We can make the economies of scale work by selling more.
Yes. Well, they sold really well. I mean, they're like hen's teeth now, but they were really quite popular. I think France, they're not that common. But the one that really gets me is the Renault. Most of the pictures here are the Renault 21 Turbo, which was always rare and was available in 4-wheel drive as well, if I remember rightly.
How good does it look in the silver pictures, though?
It looks so good. I love those wheels.
The wheel is amazing.
That to me is a very Renault wheel. And I really, really like it. And I know people don't like them because they're kind of aero fans, and so they're always the wrong way round on one side of the car. I still really like them.
Yep.
But anyway, go
like
have a read. Consider it a bonus lunchtime read. It's quite cool.
Yeah, and we will not be held responsible if that upsets your world order and makes you also think that cannot be true. It is not 40. I don't want to be held responsible for that. I'm sorry.
Just because I'm me, I would much rather have a Renault 21 than any equivalent Cavalier, Mondeo, Sierra.
Oh, yeah.
The Peugeot 405 is tricky. I think that would.
Having driven an equivalent Cavalier and been in a Sierra, I have no interest in those whatsoever. Thank you very much. Never need to be near them again in my life.
There was a really interesting discussion about all of that stuff on Blue Sky last week, which was quite good. Yeah, it started from the car factoids or something, posting brochure pictures of the Sierra.
Okay.
It all went off from there. So that's about it this week, I think.
Parish notes are a reminder of the Not Guilt Minute.
Yes, I am about to remind you about the Q&A questions for that, please. So that's going to be by Thursday, the 23rd of April. We'll be recording it live to the world at 8 p.m. BST. If you could have the questions in by a couple hours beforehand, at least, that would be really nice. Yes. Earlier they're in, the better. More likely they are to get into the running order. We'll see how we go on. I suspect a couple of questions will fill us up for an hour quite easily.
I don't know what you mean that we can fill time.
Yeah, I know.
At all.
Exactly. Right. So that's our quick recording tonight has now reached 1 hour since we hit record.
Yes.
Don't forget that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your short thoughts for the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page at www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to semaphore you?
I did dip back into Blue Sky thanks to Furious Anger, so maybe there, and I might see it, if not LinkedIn. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
LinkedIn does work, but it's best to use Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY.bsky.social. I say we'll be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.